So Tuesday's Times now, and we hate having to report this, of course, but our rival, the BBC, is suffering from uninformed groupthink and economic ignorance, Leo.
Yeah, who'd have thought? So economic ignorance at the BBC threatens impartiality, according to a review of BBC reporting. So the review said the main issue is lack of impartiality caused by uninformed groupthink and lack of confidence to challenge arguments, often given an extra twist by hype. I mean, on the other hand, why would you need to understand market forces when you're a communist relic funded by a regressive flat tax? You don't need to actually appeal to anybody. You don't need to find a market for your programmes because you get the money anyway. But yeah, it's interesting to know that the BBC is absolutely without any merit.
It's interesting, this piece. I mean, it found that there was sometimes bias towards the left and the right of the BBC. I find that incredibly hard to believe. I think that's probably just they didn't like Corbyn, is probably the left part. Yeah. Generally, the BBC is just establishment, isn't it? It's establishment on Brexit, on COVID. It didn't really challenge the narrative properly. And to be very fair, I know people who work behind the scenes at the BBC, and they all say the same. They're all a bit unhappy. Not all of them. They say that... But a lot of them are unhappy, and they say that, you know, they try and be impartial. They also say that people at the BBC will be like some of them are like UKIP at home, but then they're like woke in the office. Because that's the sort of...
Like every job.
What do you think, Jonathan?
Well, what does it mean to be impartial when you have an opinion on something? If you're doing, you know, economic analysis and you think something is the case, but that has a right-leaning or left-leaning sort of skew sound to it, what do you do then? Like, you can't be perfectly... What does it mean to be properly impartial when there's... facts that you believe in there aren't?
Yeah, it is very, very hard to be completely impartial. That's probably why we should just shut the BBC down. Yeah. Just kidding, guys. It's great to have competition in the market. Carry on, Leo.
No, we should. I mean, those people who work for the BBC would go into the labour market and be, they'd be placed somewhere where they provide more productivity to the economy. It'd be great, and we'd also save people 150 quid a year, which every household could do with that at the moment. So yeah, abolish the BBC immediately is a great move. But yeah, the review does say some interesting things. It says so much of the coverage of tax puts focus on income tax instead of VAT, when in fact, a lot of people spend more on VAT than they actually spend on income tax.
I'd like to see you as the BBC's economic analysis.
So would I. So would I for the 6 months till they're abolished.
Yeah, never going to have it.